You're taking a newborn baby and you're taking its penis and you're slicing with a scalpel. There's no separation from the part that's sliced off to the part that's left. It's one. So you're slicing at the tip of the penis of the newborn baby boy, and we expect nothing to happen as a result of that. People say, oh, we do it so early so that they don't remember it. But the bodily experience is the reason that we can't get out of the abuse of others, because it's so trapped in the subconscious. Life is, I'm going to be fucked, so I need to fuck others.
This is a very insightful man to understand this. Years of study it takes for most people to really wrap their brains around, like, why is this so traumatic? Well, you're talking about the most sensitive part of a child's, almost their most sensitive part of their body, the most pleasurable, sensitive part of their, anyways. And you're ripping it apart while they suffer the most excruciating pain known to man, probably. I mean, could you imagine what would be worse? Like cutting off your hand? I mean, it's got to be excruciatingly painful. And it's obviously is. It literally alters the brain development. And so this thing he's saying, it's impossible to get out from underneath this. What this does is it alters the brain development of the person. And it infuses them with a very strong denial pattern. They can't admit that they're damaged. I'm not damaged in any way. I'm a cool stud guy, so they can't admit it. Any man that is saying, I'm glad I'm circumcised, is basically saying, I'm glad I'm sexually crippled. And such a statement is so ridiculous that no one would ever make that statement, right? But the fact is nobody knows the anatomy, structure, and function of the part. So they have no idea that it's literally the most pleasurable part. And if you try to tell them this, they will fight back, and they will, like an ostrich with their head in the sand, they just can't accept it no matter what you say. You'll say these things to them and they'll just pass right over it like it just flew right past their mind. And it's ridiculous. Like, it's utterly ridiculous. Like any man that's went through puberty, we have hormones. Those hormones perpetuate the species. One of the most exciting things of a human's life is love and connection. And part of that is the physical attraction that you feel with this person that you're in love with. So to sit there and think that men would want that somehow damaged or crippled is just absolutely nonsense. I mean, it's just stupid. And so any man that's saying this is in denial of anatomical facts, which is, you can't really deny anatomical facts. They're not going to change because you feel a certain way. The Meissner corpuscles found in the frenulum and the ridge band are removed. When you remove those, they're no longer there. That's, like it's cutting off your lips, it's cutting off your fingertips, it's cutting off the most sensitive part, it's cutting off the feeling part. And it's damaging their brain development, their, everything. It's very destructive. And the proof of this destruction and the psychological damage is literally the denial. Even up to people like Gabor Mate, who's a child psychologist, who claims that the worst thing that ever happened to him was the stress that his mother underwent when she was trying to flee Nazi Germany, which of course was a horrific time, especially for Jewish people. But, if you're the premier child psychologist of the world and you're in denial of the number one trauma the large majority of children are going through, you're suffering, right? Like all of these men, all these men are in denial, right? I mean, even the top of it. I mean, Tucker Carlson, all these men are in denial. They cannot handle the facts that this is damaging. I watched Tucker Carlson have a debate with this FGM advocate. It was Dr. Fu Manbai or something like that. She was an American-raised African woman who went back to Africa, and to be back to her roots, chose to self-circumcise, right? And she chose to do this as an adult. She can do whatever she wants. I don't care what somebody does as an adult. Leave children out of it. But she did this as an adult, and she was arguing with him, saying, well, what I had done was less damaging than what you had done. And he's like, oh, I don't care. I don't want it in my country. Da, 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 da. I mean, just total smokescreen and denial. Like, it's so obvious. Here's the guy that supposedly logically, critically takes down all these people in debates and discussions online, and he can't even handle the fact that he's a victim of genital mutilation, and then he's missing the most pleasurable part of his body, and he's literally in denial on screen and getting annihilated by this woman who's more educated than him and she's a PhD in anthropology. So you want to go debate with her? You guys could do so. She's going to argue with you just as good as any MGM cutter, just as good as any quack in America arguing for UTI reduction or nonsense like hygiene, ease of hygiene difficulties. I mean, the excuses are so ridiculous that they don't even make sense. These are obviously psychological defense mechanisms of extreme trauma. And the fact that this is so intense and that the victims are so delusional I mean, you can argue with these people till the cows come home, and not a shred of common sense will hit anywhere close to what amounts to any level of IQ within their brain. And it's mind-boggling. How are you going to tell men that you want to be sexually crippled? I mean, that is just ludicrous. And the thing is I know in Ron Goldman's book, Circumcision Trauma, The Hidden Dilemma, he even talks about how the fact that there is no long-term studies of the damage of circumcision trauma is itself a symptom of the damage of circumcision trauma, because the men that would do the studies are victims of it themselves. I mean, that's how ubiquitous this cultural norm can be in the minds of people. It's from an outside point of view, it's mind-boggling how people can become so brainwashed into doing something so hideous as to mutilate the genitals of children, and then argue for it and try to make excuses for it and try to make ridiculous pseudoscience excuses that don't even make sense to a rational fifth grade science student. I mean, the medical excuses these quacks use are so ridiculous it amounts to cutting off children's feet to prevent stubbed toes. And the damage is so real that you and I and everybody trying to end this, we experience it every single day. So every single man that you've ever encountered that says, I'm circumcised, I'm fine, I'm glad I'm circumcised, oh, I would be mad if my parents didn't do this, all those coping strategies are literally proof of the damage, of how extensive the damage is. Because, I mean, body shaming is not convincing, right? I mean, you could body shame women, you could body shame dogs, you could body shame whatever. It's just not convincing. We're all organisms, living in the world. We all have to take care of ourselves. We all have hygiene issues. We all need to be, respected and appreciated for our full bodies, not shamed and degraded and, ew, you got smeg. I mean, just the ridiculousness of the things you hear. It is obviously a cultural norm, obviously deep-rooted brainwashing. When these same people, when it goes to FGM, all of a sudden completely flip, and it's obvious that FGM is wrong, because we see it from the outside. So anybody doing this to a girl would bring out the rage of people in our society. But we're so enculturated and so delusional when it comes to the males that we don't have anywhere near the same reaction. And in fact, we think it's beneficial, and we pay quacks to do it, and we perpetuate lies, and we spread cultural norms or myths and delusions that perpetuate the harms of children en masse, in large numbers, and we do it on social media. We are a genital cutting culture, and the fact is that this is so hard to get rid of is the fact that it literally damages the brains of its victims and creates trauma denial and creates a strange compulsion to repeat the trauma, and all of that is a sign of the severe psychological damage that this man is astutely explaining in a far more succinct way than I just did. Go follow these people on Instagram. That's going down, and Tactivism is rising. If you have any questions, you want to join an Tactivist volunteer movement, go look up nextlevelofactivism.com. Right now, we are just signing up people for our newsletter, but we will be going full tilt in the very near future.